So, hello everyone. Hello YouTube. You should be able to hear us by now. And 40 people waiting. Oh, that's really nice. Ah, yeah. Hello YouTube. So, Alan, give me just one or two pieces of sound bits.
Okay, so I'm glad to be here. Nice to see what's going on from this side.
Perfect. It works very well. Um, yeah, today we have a very special setup. Hello everyone. Hello Wins. Hello Joanne, and so on and so on. Yeah, we're gonna kick it off. So where is my pad to read out loud, not to forget anything. Good, ready to go. Hello everyone and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A, the UBports Foundation show discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and our community's questions. This is episode 93, streamed live on January 30th, 2021, and joining me this week is Alan Griffiths from the wonderful Mir team at Canonical. Hello, Alan.
Hi, Florian.
Yeah, very
I'm
nice.
glad to be here with your wonderful community.
Thanks. You're my guest star this evening, and yeah, um, it might wonder a few people why we are so few people from the core team today. But yeah, as it works out, sometimes there just are there more important things to do for the people in their life. So I'm taking it now all on my own, all alone with Alan. He will help me through this show.
I'll try.
um, and of course, that's also, um, I asked him to prepare a little bit of information for us, what's going on with Mir. That was the main reason um, to invite him. We will go again with our question block first, and then I hand it over to Alan. And yeah, basically, we're good to go. Um, and huh, I just got a feedback that I have to crank up my audio a bit. That should be not an issue. Let me fix that for a second. While actually I'm doing this, there is in the live chat still an option to post any questions if you have. We have a few questions already around, and I would say, yeah, let's try to answer them as far as I can do. I couldn't speak with all the people that have all the details for all the questions. I will try to answer as best as I can. So let's go. There's a question from Pardo. Basically, he wants to ask if we can shed some light on the development in the user land, because we announce a lot of work going on into upgrading 224, upgrading Qt 512, and so on, working on Lumiri, working on the Mir parts, and so on. And he's a little bit concerned what's going on in the middleware and userland things. Like, for example, he mentions the CalDev and CartDev support and synchronization of that between, I don't know, Nextcloud or other hostings. That seems to be only half-baked currently. Is there any development on that front? Since working CalDev and CartDev synchronization on a smartphone is a basic requirement. Yeah, I agree. It's fully clear. We have a weak spot there with the synchronization. There were some ideas how to tackle that in the past, including there was a planned hackathon already from the German developer group last year. Unfortunately, Corona put that on hold in the right moment because of various lockdowns going on. We will try to resync and regroup that people and resources around it. The hope still is that we can get additional resources that want to work on that pieces. There's also a lot of things have been done by Alberto. Big shout out to him. who tries to actually tie these pieces together. But we are still stuck there with a few things that are blocking us with the synchronization. So it's not an easy thing to do. We know it. Yeah, I think that userland and APIs for apps, when we have done transitions to 2004 and so on, we could hope to visit those missing pieces again and see what we can do. Gizmo Chicken also transition to Qt 512 for OTS 16. What will be your primary goal for OTS 17? To be honest, I think OTS 17 will need to be a stabilizing release where we have some room for fixing eventual bugs and regressions that will come from the transition to Qt 512. I don't expect many big features there. I think the developers didn't pin anything so far that would be huge improvements for the next OTA, let's say. So don't expect too much from that. We want to shoot out another one pretty soon after 16, but there is always room for small improvements, of course. Yeah, that's that. If you want to follow the actual milestones that we put on for the OTAs, if you go to our github.com/UBports, and there on the top level there is a writer called projects, and for every OTA there is a project created where we basically would add all the tickets that we want to solve for that OTA. And also, of course, the overflow from the last OTA would go there. Okay, next one. Pobok, what's the situation on the removal of the old Oxide browser, and what new features are upcoming for Morph to have a smooth transition? And is it possible to have bookmarks syncing in Morph? Well, to be honest, I don't know for the moment. It's really not that we had a lot of time to improve Morph over the last year, let's say. There were a few things, of course, but that was basically taking up the new Qt web engine and so on. I don't think that we invested many hours on our own ideas into improving Morph. And so, yeah, it would need a little bit of love still. Also here, resources. If anybody is interested in bringing our browser and all the parts around it forward, well, please join us. Try to do a little bit here or there. Yeah, we have still in the core team just not the time to do everything on our own. So next question is quite interesting because maybe Alan can help me on that one a bit.
I was thinking I might.
Yeah. So once Ubuntu Touch is based on 2004 and using Wayland, how hard do you think will it be to get flatpak applications working? Maybe we can clarify a bit what does it mean using Wayland on 2004. If I got this right, then basically we are always kind of mixing up the Wayland compositor and the Wayland protocol, right?
There is no such thing as the Wayland compositor. There is only the Wayland protocol. Mir is the compositor for Lemiri and UBports, and it has two streams of development at the moment. There's the 1.x series, that is what UBports are running currently, and the 2.x series, that is the current focus of Mir's development. But the problem is in several stages here. First of all, basing Ubuntu Touch on 2004 has little to do with it using Wayland. 2004 is one transition, moving to Wayland is another. So this is looking a long way in the future. First, moving to 2004. Second, moving to using applications communicating to the user interface and display using the Wayland protocol. And neither of those is at all related to whether you can run flatpak applications. Flatpak applications are based on a confinement model somewhat different to that used in Ubuntu Touch. It's I had it a moment ago, and I've forgotten the correct name for it.
I mean, basically, we are trying to integrate things still with our policies that we have in our manifest to allow apps certain access to camera or location and so on.
Yeah.
And if a Flatpak app doesn't come up with that policies in the package, then it would be denied by AppArmor and the other things that we have. So there is no real access for that. Yeah, right.
The technical issue is that UBports is based around AppArmor as its security barrier, but the kernel module used in Flatpak is SE Linux, which performs very much the same function, but like AppArmor, there are restrictions on what it's capable of doing dependent on the kernel version.
Yeah.
And some of the kernels on the earlier ports of Ubuntu Touch are rather ancient in terms of these security mechanisms, and they're going to be difficult to get to work.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed from boarding some devices myself, the AppArmor patches are kind of hard on old kernels. And still for the kernel series 4.4, 4.9, what we have, is still necessary to do a little bit of modification to get all the support that our apps need, and also the core system. So I think we should clear this up, or we try to clear it up every time when there is talk about Wayland, flatpak, and so on. It's not about the packaging format so much. It's about how to integrate with our APIs and the security model and the confinement, as you said. Yeah. So I have to destroy a little bit the hope that just enabling 2004 and having Mir on Wayland and so on will allow to just install any Flatpak and it will work out of the box. That's actually not going to happen, and we need to be clear about it. Yeah, I think that's okay for that one. Also, next question: how is the migration to 24 coming along? Any major roadblocks? Short answer, we just started on that, so we cannot really say how it's coming along now. There will be some roadblocks, of course, I'm afraid. There is preparation ongoing. We also have to talk about branching model because we have used a lot of branches in the past to separate our various base systems, like the vaccinal branches. We started with focal branches, but we see that the branching model doesn't work very well for us at the moment. So there's a lot of preparations ongoing before we can even start the transition. So yeah, we'll let you know about the roadblocks if we find them, but there will be some, unfortunately. It would be really a miracle if it goes just easy and we have no problems and we finish that in a few months. That would be really, really astounding. Also around core system, I was wondering, from Rondarius, a question, I was wondering if there will be a migration to Debian instead of what? I don't know really, actually. Because Mike Gabriel is upstreaming packages of Lumiri to Debian. No, we're gonna not migrate to Debian. We stay with Ubuntu and the base system of 24 because that's what we're going to target now. On the other hand, we agreed internally that it would make a lot of sense to try to get our packages into Debian distribution and all the depending distributions, because a wider range, a wider audience of people can actually benefit from the Lumiri environment. And we also hope to actually get more people interested in contributing and improving Lumiri, to not be the only ones that have to do the maintenance on that. Yeah. So if we manage to get Lumiri into Debian distributions, it would be probably a pull factor for us to get in more people. Yeah. I mean, it's just a try. Yeah. So what Mike is doing, actually, he is preparing, and he's a Debian developer. He can actually put packages into Debian repositories with their QA process, of course, and he's helping us a lot with sanitizing the packages in such a way that they will be accepted on the Debian side. Yeah? So it will be also a quality improvement for our deb packages in the end. But the core system is still Ubuntu and will stay like that. Yeah. So is no idea to replace that with Debian upstream. Alan, just one thing from our live chat I got, that you're too loud. Why I was too low at the beginning. Maybe you can a little bit tune down your mic gain.
I did try turning it down. I hope I'm
Okay.
better now.
Okay. Next question from Danko6. Thanks for awesome work with 512 migration. You're welcome. I would love to ask what will change about camera backends regarding Pine, Phone, and Halium devices support. Like for example, the OnePlus 3, the camera support is only working when you install the GSD Droid branches on the devil's images. And it will downgrade some packages, and taking photos is not working with or without it. Yeah, camera in Halium 7.1 at least is a little bit of a problem. But we're trying to merge these branches in such a way that they will be backwards compatible and not break anything. So we try to get the camera modifications into the Xenial branches still, and publish that. That's maybe something for one of the next OTAs. I don't want to give any timeline on that. I know myself on my Nexus 6P, I have the problem that the camera is also not working, especially video recording, because of that. So without the GSD Droid branches from Rajanan, that's not going to work. And also on some ARM64 devices, that's actually a little bit broken. But we are still putting some time into that. So please have a little bit of more patience for the broken cameras. It's a problem across all the devices, and we have that nearly done, and hopefully get it merged. Jeremiah, he's very interested in possibilities of better user support and stability for Nbox, like F-Droid, Foundation App Store, and so on, eFoundation App Store. There are specific ecosystem gaps that can be addressed this way. Many users have one important function that a single app addresses, and would be a roadblock for adoption of Ubuntu Touch. Yeah, we know this. So Nbox is still a very experimental thing, especially on our operating system, and we are still trying to get also here more resources involved. So far, and also to clear this up, we said in the past Q&As, we are in the process of hiring someone to give exclusive support for Nbox. That process is still not done. So Nbox in development did not move really since we updated on this last time. We have a lot of epics and user stories already written down. We know what we need to do. We're just lacking the time to do it. And one of the things would be that we have to upgrade the Nbox container, because it's actually based on a very old Android version. And before that happens, it doesn't make much sense to try to do anything else with Nbox. And also to improve its background operations that will drain your battery and a lot of other things. Yeah, we know that's also important. Just at the moment, 2004 and Qt 512 are the primary goals for us. And for the core team, if we find someone that can work on Nbox on a regular basis, it would be awesome. If you know people that know Android very well, that actually also know Linux very well, so you need to be in both lands of development to really go contribute to Nbox in a way that it's easy for you. But if you know people that are interested in that, please point them to us. Whew. And the last question from what I have seen here, and let me just check the forum. Yes, the last question from the forum, Carlo D. The list of supported devices is growing really quickly. And yes, we also started on Halium 10, which give Android 10 support. What is our plan to control maturity of such new devices, which you may not have? Are you ready for thousands of potential new Ubuntu Touch users? Ooh, so many questions. So, quality. Yeah, quality is a problem for ports when we cannot verify ourselves. But my idea was that we try to involve community members helping us to verify the quality of ports by just confirming the state. So the porter would give a list, okay, that works on the device. Other people would check it, would confirm it, kind of notarize the results. And when we are confident that a few people have confirmed that's working very well, we say, okay, We believe the porter, we believe the people, we set the maturity to a higher level. We publish this on the devices page and everybody can benefit from that. A little bit of gating idea was around to say, okay, there is a minimum set of features the device needs to go into the installer. That would a little bit help to sort out ports that are not ready for daily operations, also for updates. You need to have certain functionalities for the device to be able to go to the installer, like it has to have a working recovery. A few things need to be set up. We need to create system image channels. There is some work behind that, so we really want to do that work for devices that have a certain maturity. But we also got a lot of feedback that we shouldn't block early ports because people in the community want to verify what's working already and they need an easy way of installing that. Discussion's not finished, but we still try to do our best to enable these ports early on, but not at a stage that they're not really working at all. So if somebody comes with a device and just has, I don't know, UI starting, but nothing else works, we will kindly and how to say, remind them that maybe you should continue a little bit of porting before they want to put it into an installer. The last one, where's the Lumire documentation? We've been waiting for it since December. Yes, I asked Mario some days ago. He's in the process of finishing that. There was a lot of things going on, so stand by for the documentation. It will be there at a certain point. Whew. So many questions, and I answered all of them, Alan. Oh,
well done.
nice. Thank you. There's one specific question in the chat. Is the mayoral work part of the move to Wayland? Do I understand it right?
Well, I think I can talk about that
yeah.
in my talk about what Mir is and how it relates to Lumire.
Perfect. Then we do a little bit of segueing towards that because, yeah, I would say I hand it over to you. Yeah, I will put you on the screen with your stream because Alan was so kind to provide a nice presentation. Let's see if that works. Yeah.
Is it there?
I think so. Yeah, I can see it.
Good. Excellent. So I just want to talk about what Mir is in relation to, well, the UBports and other things, and where we're going with it over the next year or so. So I've got a diagram here that shows Mir in the middle because it is the center of all things. Beneath it is the software that talks to the hardware, and the hardware, the computer, the phone, the screen, the keyboards, whatever. And off to either side, there are the applications that want to appear on the screens. And this diagram shows Mir talking in one direction to a Wayland-based toolkit with an application that uses that. So this would be your traditional GTK, Qt applications or SDL. And on the other side, there's it talking to X-Wayland and X11 based applications. The question about moving to Wayland, there could be a third box which talks using Mir's proprietary protocol, and applications use that to talk to Mir. That's been phased out in mainstream Mir, which is why it's not on this slide I've got here. But it's still in use by UBports because it has a number of features that are not yet available using Wayland. MirOil won't address that. That's something that needs to be addressed, or MirOil could be part of addressing that, but it's still something that needs to be addressed by developing new stuff. And at the moment, there's no developers around developing that new stuff. Lumire is one of the things that uses Mir, and it will run on phones, tablets, it will run on desktop computers to one extent or another. It works by far the best on phones and tablets at the moment. Mir is also used in embedded systems where it just manages a screen for some other piece of software. This is an example that was posted on the Mir forums, I think about 18 months ago, and I thought it was a nice illustration of what's going on with Mir. As recently, a German company has started distributing mirrors which make use of Mir Kiosk and Ubuntu Core. And I don't know the details of this. I do know that the people behind it are maintaining a snap based on using Mir. And there's also an American company doing an exercise-based mirror system, also based on Mir and Ubuntu Core.
That's particularly interesting. So you can have it on your home trainer, and you know you have a very nice piece of software inside. That would make it awesome also for our community.
It could do, yes. And Mir is gradually coming up to a standard for use on the desktop. And I've written an example desktop shell using Mir as basically an educator for anyone learning their way into Mir. But it's also proved useful in actually trying things out. So the example posted on our Mir forums recently shows Mir working with some components from Sway and Mate. It's one of the focuses of our work with Mir at the moment is making that desktop work better. And William Wold, who I have spotted in the chat, so I think he's watching, is headlining that effort and trying to get the various rough corners sorted out. But you can use Mir on the desktop and try it out using applications that are based on based on Wayland or on X11, and by and large, it works. There are still some paper cuts to be resolved, but we're getting there. And I know William's been talking to the Mate people about moving their components across to Wayland to get a Wayland-based desktop based on Mir. One of the things that Mir was built for was to have a flexible architecture that allows you to adapt it to different use cases. And it basically plugs at the top. So Mir is a set of libraries, and these libraries support various servers. There's some examples that are built as part of the Mir package. The Mir demo server, Mir Kiosk, which is behind the Mir Kiosk used in IoT systems, Mir server, which is another testing server, my example, EGMD, and there's Lemiri, which used to be Unity 8 and is behind the UBports efforts. On the other side of Mir, it's pluggable into different graphic stacks. So the principal one for desktop use is GBM KMS, which will work on the Mesa KMS open drivers or Mali drivers and on some other drivers from other manufacturers, but they're the ones I have actually tried myself and seen using. We've got a driver plugin that will work with the NVIDIA binary drivers. UBports have an Android plugin that works with libhydris and the Android parts that are needed to drive the phone hardware. We've also got support for DiskmanX, running on top of another X11 compositor or running on top of a Wayland compositor. And new hardware comes along, it's possible to plug it in, and any of those servers that you saw on the previous slide will run on top of that new hardware. This is an example of Mir running on a traditional desktop environment because it will run on an X compositor. One of the things that has been asked about recently is Flutter and the Mir team have been working with the Flutter devs recently. The first piece of work, which is pretty much complete and will be a part of the next major release of Flutter, is to have it working on Linux, including working on Wayland. And William was the main person behind getting that Wayland support working on Flutter. We're also talking to the Flutter devs about what it means to support multiple windows. And part of the work we did with Unity 8 back in the day, or as it's now called Lemiri, was to talk about how different types of windows would work on different display architectures. What happens when you move from one form factor to another? And we came up with a lot of work about the design of multiple windows. And we're trying to feed that into the multi-window support of Flutter. Mir is a project that I started off towards the end of last year when I had a few days to spare, but it's something that's really needed to move the Mir support in Lemiri from the 1.x series to the 2.0 series. This is the way Mir and Lemiri are built together. The central core Mir libraries don't have a very stable ABI, and we want to retire some of them. In fact, we did retire some of them for the 2.0 release. And that's proved a barrier to moving Lemiri over to 2.x. The solution to that is to move some of the code that's in QtMir into a new library, which I chose to call MirOil because it's an anagram of Lemiri, and provide a stable API for QtMir to use from there. That will allow Lemiri to move from Mir 1.x to Mir 2.x with very little change, and it won't need those APIs that are no longer available. The status of MirOil is it's waiting for someone to do some work on it. I got as far as writing a blog post about it and actually working out how to build Mir and QtMir. Set up a GitHub project to hold this work. One of my problems with it is I don't know which of the many branches on GitHub and on GitLab is the appropriate branch of QtMir to use for this development. And like a lot of the things around UBports, it needs developers. I know a couple of people have tried building Mir and QtMir according to the notes that I produced above, and they got there, they built it. It works for me best in an Ubuntu 16.04 dual boot. I just installed 16.04 on a development laptop. I can do all the building in a multipath-based VM, and it, in theory, ought to work in a church, but I haven't had time to get that working. And that's really the end of my presentation.
Thanks very much. That sounds really interesting. So, I mean, for me, it was also important that to give a little bit of insight from someone who's really involved with it, that there are use cases from Mir that people probably don't think about it. So the first thing is it's not only a thing that's used on our Ubuntu Touch platform, but there's really other examples of applications that can make use of it. And I think that's not clear to everyone so far in the community. And yeah, I think basically that's an awesome thing. Also, that you mentioned Flutter, we had a few questions already about that. What's going on with Flutter and Ubuntu Touch? So while that might be not enough to really integrate Flutter apps, I think it's good that it comes up. And
yeah, so
yeah,
there is no support in Flutter for the Mir client API.
yeah,
which is what you would need for the current incarnation of Ubuntu Touch.
So here I am with actually Marius joining the stream. Let's see if we can get him live.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
hello,
Marius.
Hello. I want a camera, but I can be assisting questions. So
very good. I mean, we basically run through a lot of questions already in the beginning. The thing that what would be probably interesting is if you give a few insights on what is missing from our side to the, let's say, efforts around 2004 and the upgrading stuff, because people now want to know a lot about what's our state with that. Maybe you have a few ideas what you want to say. And
well,
yeah,
the first
and
thing
then,
that really comes to mind is developers.
yeah, like Alan said just 2 minutes ago, yeah, he's also waiting for developers to join the effort for Mural. So developers, where are they?
Yeah, but if we look aside from manpower and developers, there is not really anything stopping us right now. We already have that work started. On our Rutschman already have some basics of working, and a lot of the effort done on Manjaro, which is also why we actually did Manjaro, actually applies now, since we have done all the systemd stuff, and also all the Qt updates. And now we also know that it runs on new Qt, which is really nice. It works on systemd. And from there on, the road will be easier. We will still have to tackle device-specific issues with systemd. But right now things are looking bright, and I expect things to be up and running pretty quickly. But also one thing that will take a little bit of time is that we are doing this in a joint effort with Debian, so we can actually get all the packages first of all renamed, and then all the packages need to also be compliant with Debian's.
There was a question about that, and I already said before that Mike is helping us with great effort to sanitize the packages for Debian upstreaming, and that has already come pretty nicely along. Yeah, the thing is, I think that this year will be really terrific if we don't hit major roadblocks with that upgrades. Then I think that will be really an awesome thing. And
yeah. I have to point out that this year is going to be really bright. There's a lot of stuff coming up in the pipeline, and a lot of stuff we can't talk about, but I can promise you they are really nice.
We know a few things that not even how to say, only a handful of people knows that. I heard also some rumors. I cannot confirm anything, of course, but let's see what comes up this year.
This is shaping up to be UBports' best year for sure.
Yeah, thanks also to our sponsors, and that's a nice segue also to mentioning them. First of all, our bigger sponsors, Smooth, Walla, Pine64, and Private Internet Access, still going strong into funding us and supporting us with their services, and of course also with their financial donations. And a lot of people donating also to our Patreon. I didn't grab the list before. I have to say sorry. I cannot shout out all of the people here. But yeah, thanks to all the sponsors there. If anybody wants to donate now, because he's so curious to come up maybe in the next Q&A with his name, uberports.com/donate is our sponsoring page where you can actually see what's going on and how you can donate to us. There are various options for that at the moment, and yeah, we are really grateful for that, because it enabled us to pay people for developing Ubuntu Touch already last year and also this year. we will be able to enable even more. And that also speeds up the things now. After some years, we can see that with financial support going well, people can focus on working for Ubuntu Touch, and that brings a lot of benefit for the time and also the quality of the things going on. Okay, so there is a round of news still that I have here on my list. And yeah, I'm just gonna into that small news section. And first of all, there is my personal project. So Marius already knows that. I'm also porting along a little bit. I'm trying to currently verify a little bit what's going on with Android 9 porting. So I got actually 3 devices on my table now, not only one like the last time. So people might remember I was playing with Nexus 6P. On my table on the menu for porting in my house are a Pixel 2 XL, and a OnePlus 5T. And now comes the interesting thing, because I mentioned it again. Those are basically that was facilitated by community members by a donation for buying me 2 devices and a lease of the OnePlus 5T. So basically, I didn't have to invest my own money for that. I was in the nice situation of getting those devices just on my table. That's very nice. Thank you guys out there. It's basically a German community member, Marco, that was nice to send over the OnePlus 5T for some time. I have to give it back. I'm really sorry, because it's a nice device. And the Pixels I just bought, and I can keep them. But I have so many devices already, I don't know if I should keep them. And yeah, that was a financial donation by Christian, and he knows already if I shout out to him. I do it all the time now. I'm very, very happy about that. So Android 9 is coming very strong at the moment. We have a lot of devices going into that because it's much easier to port for it now. Thanks also to Nikita, NotKit. You people might know him already. He's one of our really porting experts now. And he made a lot of things possible for Android 9 and for getting all the things sorted out there. So for porting also, there was an update from Alfred. We have some improvements, as I already said, for the camcorder support, for the recording of videos. And that should improve things for Halium 7.1 devices. And he says now, that's actually what I didn't know before, but I'm reading now my news, that that will fix also video recording for the 64-bit devices that couldn't do it. So coming back to the OnePlus 3T, yes, we are in the final stage of getting that landed. For the Sony Xperia X, he improved power saving, but actually the other way around. So he loosened the aggressiveness of the power saving. There are no delays in the notifications anymore, and the charging doesn't require turning on the screen. Well, that's a little bit unfortunate if you turn on your screen all of a sudden you want to charge your device. Other power saving changes, I'm just going over that notes. Scheduled CPU governor for improved frequency scaling, and that also integrates with firmware handling and throttling CPU, stability, ongoing work of stabilizing the kernel. So Sony Xperia X still putting effort in. It's a great device if you want to try it out, and there are also other Sony devices that follow suit on that. I'm really happy. Thanks, Alfred, so much that you still invest time into this, and whenever you can, the people really will love that. Good. Alan, anything you want to get rid of? Tell the community, ramp up the resource power for Miroil. We can repeat it once more, maybe, that we need still people that involve with all the projects that we have, and Miroil is only one of them.
Yeah. Well, all I can really say with that is that MiroOil is something that you don't need a device to work on. It's something you can do on normal desktop equipment. I will try and document the best way of doing that in the coming weeks, but it all takes time, and that's one thing we all have far too little of.
Yeah. Time is our problem, Marius, right? The day has only 24 hours.
It's like, if only we have time, I would do everything, but I don't have that all the time in the world.
Yeah.
And I know the documentation side of things. Funny story is that I actually did some documentation while I were at the hospital bed, which is kind of weird. But that documentation is coming soon, but it's not done yet. I really hope to be done by next week. But if you know my time schedule, it's probably not going to be next week. It's going to be more than that.
Yeah, we had a question about the documentation. Yeah. I already said, I spoke with you. It's almost done. Yeah.
If there's something that actually wants to help out, that would be nice. But these are the things that are kind of hard to document because you need to know what to document. One thing that I can do is just brain dump, and if someone wants to clean up my English, that could also work.
I think so. I mean, even some proofreading or looking at it from a technically writing perspective and restructuring a bit could help. We get a lot of people asking us how they can help if they're not developers, and these are the two things that you can do. You can help us with documentation, and you can help us also with translation. Still. By the way, there's a small announcement for translation. So our main web page on docs.ubports.com is translated in multiple languages, but we now reviewed a little bit the quality of that translations, means the coverage. And I have to say, I have to remove Turkish and Romanian translations because they are on such a small coverage that it's basically English with a few translated paragraphs. If there are some people outside there that speak Turkish or Romanian as mother language, then to help the translations, please ping us, because otherwise we will remove it in 1 or 2 weeks because it just doesn't make sense. Yeah? On the bright side, we can add Polish now because Polish has translated at a whopping 100% coverage. Imagine that. Community effort was done to translate it, every single sentence of our docs.ubports.com into Polish. And I really like that. Also, Russian translation has been completed in case you have Russian as a native language. You will be pleased that you can switch to that, and it should be really good now. But it was there already for some time. But Polish will just now pop up in the next days, and I think that's great. Good. Porting languages. What else do we have? Oh, Pinephone. There was a little bit of uncomfort in the community about Pinephone not getting so much attention. Yes, we know. I think we briefly talked about this also in the last Q&A. We don't hate Pinephone people. Yeah? And from my point of view, it's still the same thing. Lack of resources in some areas. And also, I was hoping personally, I was thinking that Pinephone as a device that should be there for tinkering and for playing around with it would attract more people to actually contribute and bring it forward with help from outside, not only from the core team. Unfortunately, it wasn't going that much forward with the Ubuntu Touch specific things, while the Pinephone itself got a lot of development addressed in other distributions, especially kernel upgrades and what Maggie is doing and so. But the problem is that some of those things need to be transferred into Ubuntu Touch own ecosystem, let's say, and we are just lacking things there. I don't know, Marius, what's your thinking about the Pinephone stalled for us? Maybe we can have your thoughts on that also.
So the thing with the Pinephone is that it has stalled. But the thing we are doing differently is that our fixes generally take longer to enter because, first of all, we try to avoid as many hacks as possible, while other distributions mainly only focus on the PinePhone, which means that they can pretty much throw whatever they want into it. But we need to make sure that the fixes we made for PinePhone also works on other devices and doesn't break or make incompatible code. Since we are using the same root file system across every, it does have minor modifications, but we try to avoid having any major modifications. And that's also why I think, but not think, that's why PinePhone is going slower. It's because we are focusing on that and nailing that part. Sure, that will make the PinePhone go slower, but also the point with um with going that way is that way we have a solid foundation for our next device, and also make the PinePhone more solid. But it's also wrong to say that it has stalled, because it just recently got a major upgrade to Qt 5.12, and it also got camera is now using the hardware accelerated viewfinder. So it hasn't stalled in that area. The only place where it really has stalled is the kernel department, but that's more or less because of lack of resources.
Yeah, that's true. So also Rodney reminded me immediately in live chat that now with the Qt 5.12 upgrade, we will unblock things on the PinePhone as well. And just people had to patiently wait for that. Yeah, true. So let's see after that has been completely implemented if people see again that something is moving. And yeah, kernel upgrade, if there are any kernel hackers around that want to integrate that with our, let's say, platform and stuff, well, just ping us as usual. We have a lot of channels where you can ping us. Where are you people? Just come out. Don't be shy. Great. Well, we are basically nearing the end of the hour. I don't see. There is one more question from live chat that's particularly interesting. Maybe I would like to take it. Will there be ever a way to port C# apps to Ubuntu Touch? I would really prefer not to use Qt with C++ if I can avoid it. Oh, I mean, I'm a C# developer for my day job, so yeah, I can feel you. I'm not sure if this is gonna be possible. On the other hand, it's not so hard to use Qt with C++. I don't know if there are C# bindings for Qt, to be honest. I never tried to look for that.
That's the question I was going to ask. What's the graphics stack for using with C#? What's it based on?
Yeah, there is one problem. So if you look for the current state of C#, which is split up in various frameworks, the classic framework would have only worked on Windows basically, because for the graphical parts, because there is no way. They invented this WPF, Windows Presentation Foundation, and everything was going into Windows only. And now they.
I remember that.
Yeah, and somehow Microsoft realized that they want to go a little bit more into spaces where they also support Linux better. So they came up with .NET Core, which basically is a very good platform for backend services and everything that's just a daemon, let's say, because .NET Core is completely unified and you can run it between Windows and Linux without changing a piece of code. But the problem is for .NET Core, there is no real binding to a graphics stack. So those applications, there weren't no really UI applications possible with that early versions. I think work is being done to change this a bit. So I would have to refresh my mind about it, but maybe in the future it could be an option. I don't know.
Well, there is Qt bindings, so you can leverage Qt fully using C# because it has the you can bind it to C applications and like hook into C APIs. So
yeah, I think that would be great. Yeah, maybe because I would also prefer C# sometimes because it's just without all the memory management and memory leaks that you can create with C++ still. It's a great thing, and you can sometimes just fire and forget your code and so on and so on. But yeah, it's a personal taste also. I also
wait,
can, yeah.
Are we talking about the KDE my UI or?
MAUI apps to Ubuntu Touch. I'm C# MAUI apps. I'm not quite sure what MAUI
Because
is actually.
MUI, you have the MAUI kit, and then you have the thing that Microsoft made, and they use the same name because why not?
Okay. Yeah. So just to say, currently it's not there. I would say we probably would need to ship a few things for that. But again, if somebody wants to work on that part, feel free. Multi app user interface. It's the cross platform UI. Yes, basically exactly that thing. But it will not work out of the box right now.
No, not right
That's
now.
for sure.
But right, I thought he was talking about the KDE MAUI kit or MAUI. It has the same name, which is
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's put it like that. Okay, there's one last question we can take. The usual question that I always like is, are you planning to support more modern devices? So what's a modern device, Marius? What's your opinion on modern device?
Modern device. I know that Nikita actually got the OnePlus Nord N10 5G. I think that's the most up to date device actually. But it's
yeah.
nowhere near done
No.
porting wise, but it has 5G.
Ooh, modern device is a bit subjective. Yeah, of course. I would also say Android 10 is, we could call a modern device, right? Just depending on when it was built and if you can still buy things with Android 10. But I heard Android 11 is also around. So yes, we are planning to support more modern devices, but it's just a long road, and Android 9 support is not finished.
To be honest, the modern device support is actually moving a lot quicker than it did before, because now we have multiple modern devices actually. Well, modern in the OnePlus Nord is actually just like some months old, so that's pretty impressive.
Ronnie wants to say also that Android 12 is a thing. Well, yeah,
Not yet.
Not yet, but it will be there at some point. I must
Android
say,
need to slow down.
Yes, Android, you are moving too fast. We cannot keep up.
We can't keep up.
Oh no. So that said, yes, I think we will support more modern devices. We always try to reach out as quickly as we can, but it also depends on, you have to get the device for porting, you have to analyze a lot, we have to document stuff for the other things that we have done. Nikita put it in a real nice sentence. He said, because about the Halium 10 things and Android 10 support, he said, I realize now that we are putting a totally undocumented thing on top of a barely documented thing, meaning we're putting Halium 10 on Halium 9, which we already have not all the pieces documented in a very good way. I think that's it. We should not put 11 on 10, which is put on 9.
Well, that's porting in a nutshell, though. Like working on undocumented things. Like everything is undocumented.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, guys. I think that was a great Q&A again.
But I want to mention one thing.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
The thing I talked about the accelerated viewfinder on the Pine phone, and I have to say that Rachanan did amazing work on that. That's all his work, and that he managed to make it work is just impressive. That thing flies now, and if you scale down the resolution a bit and increase the frame rate, it will be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, thank you so much for all the effort people put inside our wonderful Ubuntu Touch. Okay, other famous last words. I think we did a great job. Thanks, Alan, so much for joining us this evening and staying with us for the whole hour. I will go to see of our auto page. If anybody of you wants to see or got curious about if their device is supported, we have our wonderful devices page at devices.ubuntu-touch.io, and it's over 50 devices listed now. Of course, not everything is usable, but imagine that 50 devices already. If it's not on the list, the device probably needs porting for a custom system image or maybe a generic device image. You can go to the porting documentation at docs.ubiports.com to find out a bit more about what's porting like. We have a lot of social media that you can visit, of course, on Facebook, Twitter, PixelFed, Framapiaf actually back there. I didn't see this for a long time. Actually, Mastodon, of course. LinkedIn, Instagram. We have a Telegram news channel, a Matrix news channel, and of course our wonderful forum at forums.ubports.com and Telegram at UBports. Well, yeah, that's it for this week, and we see each other in 2 weeks probably. And yeah, you can again ping us for questions on the forum when it's time. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks Alan, thanks Marius for joining. And
thanks for inviting me.
That's it for the moment.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, nice weekend. See you. And
bye.